Communities in Wales are largely the same. Whether industrial, large, or rural, small, bougie, big, or tenement block tall, they usually manage to represent a true reflection on the feelings and behaviours of mankind. There was the clown, the funny one who would do almost anything to make people laugh, the mad one, always entertaining with his peculiar behaviour, the hard man who walked around beating the life out of people, and the bright one who went to university and became a professional, either a doctor to patch up the victim of the hard man, or a solicitor who would end up putting the hard man away. In the late 1950s, most communities had a welfare hall or cinema, usually referred to as the bug house, and these community hubs were more often than not very well attended. This was either because the film of the day was very good, or the teenagers would meet up looking to explore the full extent of their pubescent nature. One such lad, Rob, led his gang, a mixture of rockers and Teds, to one such cinema where they would meet up with the polka-dotted, skirt-clad dee-wop wannabe girls. Rob was on a promise that evening and most paranoid that nothing was going to mess it up. For everything to go his way, his gang simply had to be cooler than cool. The night arrived, and both groups of teenagers raced to occupy the rear seats of the auditorium. Rob met up with the most beautiful girl of his dreams, and all seemed well, particularly as this evening's showing was to be a western, which these girls were not really interested in. Passions arose between the back rows, and particularly so for Rob and his girl, taking full advantage of the dark corner of the cinema row, avoiding the glare of the usher's torch. Right in the middle of an extended moment of passion, a loud scream bellowed from one of the gang members, and this lad shot out of his seat. Armed with a hand-carved wooden pistol, he sprinted down the aisle and ran towards the giant screen. He hid between the seats and popped his makeshift gun, taking out Red Indians on the screen and hiding behind the seats. "Who let that village idiot Tony Chagnari in?" yelled a very unhappy and extremely frustrated Rob, his gang's reputation in tatters. His girl stood, summoned her gang, and they all trooped out of the cinema, leaving Rob's most uncool gang to yet another night of bashing the bishop in their own little beds. In the late 1990s, Rob, his wife and grown-up children enjoyed a holiday in Magaluf, Spain. One night they met up with a similar family to their own from the north of England. They all enjoyed a lovely meal together. The youngsters went on to do their own thing, and Rob, his wife, and the corresponding couple sat down for drinks. The men started to talk at the bar, and Rob explained what part of Wales he was originally from before becoming an engineer and moving on to do better things. His new friend said that he was a full-time regular in the British Army. Interested in this, Rob asked the squaddie what his most feared trouble spot was, to which he replied it was the east of Aden in Saudi Arabia. He continued that it was in 1963, and whoever would say that it was not terrifying, he would, to their face, call them a liar. At the height of the uprising against the British, this chap explained that 3 of them were totally surrounded by about 100 locals armed with knives, swords, pitchforks, and just about every homemade tool they could muster. As the mob approached them, one of his colleagues, a Welshman funnily enough, climbed out from what was a makeshift bunker and, armed only with a pistol, screamed at the mob, "This is the British Army. Take one step forward and we will take every single one of you out. Now, disperse or we'll fire." The northern chap related to Rob as to just how scared they all were during this standoff. But this Welsh squaddie stood his ground, and the mob backed off, avoiding a massacre and certainly saving the lives of his squaddies. As the night moved on, Rob, still in the company of their new friends, related the story that he'd been told to his wife. Overhearing this, the soldier informed the Welsh couple that his hero was from a place very similar to that of where Rob had earlier described being brought up. In a long shot, after all, Wales is one big village where everyone seems to know one another, Rob asked if he could recall the name of the brave Welshman. Antonio Chagnari, replied the squaddy, upon which Rob spat out his ice-cold San Miguel, allowing the squaddy to conclude, yes, Tony Chagnari, the coolest guy that I had ever met.